Good morning. It is 11:32, and I would like to call this meeting to order. My name is Mark Quinn. I'm the Director of Security for Garland ISD. It is 11:32, and I would like to call the August 1st meeting of the GISD Safety and Security Committee to order. This meeting is conducted in accordance with Chapter 551 Government Code. Executive session is held for the purpose permitted by the Texas Open Meetings Act, such as the presentation of information of a sensitive nature. Since the topics being discussed today are public information, we will not necessitate executive session. This time, do we have any public comments? I do not believe that we do. Krishan, you hadn't received any, right? Okay. So seeing that there are no public comments, I'm going to move to item number 2. I will start security systems update with Michael Pierce. We will move to Chantel Moore as soon as he gets here. He should be walking in shortly.
Good morning. I just have 2 items. As last discussed in our previous meeting, the Security Systems Department, we're in the middle of installing 220 emergency buttons. These emergency buttons, each campus will receive 2 to 4 emergency buttons throughout the building. The reason or the intent behind the emergency button is to notify our dispatch center, our security department, of a need of an emergency on a campus and of the possible first responder response. We're in the middle of that. We hope to complete that by September 1st. We also are in the final stages of updating information needed for our panic escalation app. This is a phone app that will be in the hands of all district employees. As of last week, we have uploaded 5,200 plus employees. We included in the last update all paras and auxiliary personnel to the list. This application will be two-way communication or a group conversation between selected individuals of a need of an emergency on a campus. The sender will be identified by photo, by title, and by school location. It'll pop up if I send you the message, then what you will see is my photo, my title, and my distress message. That message will go out to selected individuals, your security team, your admin team, of the need of an emergency. It's intended to be a silent conversation. No need to make a call. In the instance where you can't use a telephone, you can't get up and go push a button. You have this application as a tool to use in the need of an emergency. And we hope to next week roll that out along with a how-to video next week to all employees of GISD. That's all I have.
Is there any questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sometimes it gets a little confusing of all the different ways we have to communicate emergencies. Could we just go over that so the public watching could understand their panic? What's in each classroom? What's around the building? I know we've talked about these 2 new things. We'll just go over that whole,
sure,
all the things that exist.
I'll let Mike start and I'll supplement.
Yeah.
So on the campus level, we have a panic button, and the panic button is used by anyone, but it's used to put the campus on lockdown.
Is that in every classroom?
No, sir. Those are just strategically placed mainly in the admin areas.
Okay.
To be used mainly by admin staff. But that, when activated, will enunciate a lockdown message overhead and put the campus on lockdown. And that particular button is yellow, and it says panic. Our emergency buttons that we're installing now, those buttons are blue and they say emergency. And those buttons are strategically placed throughout the campus, intended for use by staff only. And the emergency button, that signal is received in our dispatch center. And it's received in our dispatch center only. It does not enunciate any type of message overhead.
Okay, so the panic buttons are mostly at the administrative area.
Mm-hmm.
These new emergency buttons, you said there are 220, 2 to 4 per school.
Yes, sir.
Again, they'll be around, but not, do we have anything in every classroom?
No, what we have in the classroom is a cell phone. And the cell phone isn't, not the cell phone, but the desk phone. The desk phone, using the desk phone, they have a means of contacting our dispatch center. They have a means of dialing 911 and any other extension they need to.
Okay, so that's a district phone that's in every classroom?
Every classroom has a desk phone.
Okay. In an emergency, would that be powered or lose power?
I'd have to check on that.
Okay. So in a individual classroom, if a teacher knows there's some emergency and can't get to either of these yellow or blue buttons, they would pick up the phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But now you say you're adding this new app.
Yes, sir.
That's going to be on their individual phones?
Yes, sir. It'll be on their cell phones.
Okay. And does that replace the...
It's in addition to. It's another tool to use just in case.
Okay, so let's say I'm a classroom teacher. Which way would I go? Would I pick up the phone or use my cell phone?
That's whatever you deem, whatever you can get to first.
You can go either one.
John Michael Keyes created I Love You Guys Standard Response Protocol, and he said that it's good to have both, because if you don't feel like you can talk because the active shooter is outside of your classroom and you don't want him to hear your voice, that this is a great thing, because you can send text to the silent panic alert he's talking about. And then back to in every room, I just wanted to tell you that the phone is a silent panic alert system. Like, we've checked with the powers that be, and that counts. You don't have to dial 9 to get out, and when the electricity's off, it still works.
Ah, okay.
Yes. And another thing, when you dial 911 from our hard lines, it registers in dispatch that a 911 phone call was made. It tells the room that the call was made from. So we immediately receive notification in dispatch. I received notification through an email that 911 was called.
Okay, so on the app, you said 5,200 plus employee. So is that ready to go, or just about?
We're 98% there.
So we've tested it and it works.
Yeah, it's a company. They have other districts that they employ also.
They work with Oracle, and they've tested it. We've added, on the 26th, we added the auxiliary and the paras, and we've gone over the how-to video, and hopefully next week we'll roll that out to all staff members.
So okay, is it going to be confusing to a teacher, let's say a new teacher, which pick up the phone or use my cell phone? How do they make that choice?
That choice is completely theirs. Whatever they're closest to, whatever's more convenient for them, whatever's quicker for them, they'll be able to use both, and they'll both work effectively.
Okay, good. Thank you all.
Any other questions on anything? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. The items that you just explained, from the yellow button to the blue to the landline to the apps, can you all just do a one-pager, a sheet, or a card so that all board members have that? The one thing that we have to understand is that we have committees to facilitate the work, but how we push it out, all trustees ought to know. So, I mean, we don't need anything very lengthy. And even with that how-to video, that link should be included there. And so that way we're disseminating the information basically to all trustees. You all are doing it extremely well within district, but for us, here's our safety cheat sheet, or not cheat sheet, I don't say cheat. Can't say cheat in education. I don't know what you call it, but information sheet. Okay, all right, okay. So.
Yes, ma'am, we can do that. Any other questions on anything systems? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Just on the calling 911 from the classrooms, I don't know if it's changed. In our classrooms, we have to dial 9, then 911.
If you dial 9 and 11, it registers at dispatch.
It registers at dispatch? Okay.
Right.
I'm old school.
That's okay. So am I.
Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Can you just repeat what you said?
Yes, sir. Back when I first started teaching, to get 911, we had to dial 9 to get an outside line and then dial 911. That was 15 years ago. And now if we dial 911, it rings you guys and 911?
Right.
Awesome. Thank you.
It goes to Central.
Yes,
and-
we still get notified.
And directly
Yes.
to police. Ah, okay.
All right. No other questions on systems. Let's move to operations.
But before we do that, I think it's important that the entire committee introduce themselves for the public so everybody knows where we stand. I'll let you decide who comes in,
Okay.
or where you start, or, you know.
Sure. Let's just start over here on the far left.
I'm Mr. McGee. I teach health science at South Garland High School.
I'm Tracy Burkfield. I'm on the state PTA and Garland Council PTA, representing parents.
Larry Glick, board member.
Ricardo Lopez, superintendent.
Linda Griffin, trustee.
Daryl Dodd, CFO. I'm Mark Quinn, Director of Security.
Shelley Garrett, Assistant Superintendent of Safety and Operations.
Michael Pierce, Security Systems Coordinator.
Chantel Moore, Operations Coordinator, Security. Brent Merriman, Sergeant with the City of Sachse Police Department.
All right. Thank you. Now we will move on to item number 1, Security Operations Update. Chantel Moore.
Good afternoon. So, as far as the ops update, security operation teams have been getting trainings this summer. We've been updating our crisis intervention training for our CPI of how to deal with the students while we're on campus, for as our hands-on techniques if we have to break up fights. We've been doing our first aid, CPR trainings, making sure we're prepared to be able to aid any student that may have a medical emergency while we're there in our presence. Our Tri-City PDs, for as RPD and GPD, both did alert training last week to stay ready for any type of active event to be able to protect our district. We're proud to know that they used our campuses to do that for Shrady and Garland High School last week. And I'm proud to say that we have a new dispatch program that we actually started today. It's called OmniGo. And OmniGo is going to help us streamline our overall day-to-day process. It's going to help us manage and respond in an appropriate manner for us, keeping records and being more efficient with redundancies in our reporting. But it's also going to be real-time helpful when it comes to securing lockdowns. So other than that, we're just excited for this new school year. We know that we hope that our students and staff had a great summer, and we just look forward to keeping on protecting the blind side of the district.
Any questions on anything operations related? Mo, I will tell you, stole my thunder. I was going to talk about our brand new OmniGo dispatching program. It's awesome.
What if I was on the operation? We're excited about that.
You should be. It's awesome. Any questions?
I think I'm hearing what you're calling it.
OmniGo?
OmniGo.
Oh, OmniGo. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Okay, thank you.
It is
Maybe I'm the only one that.
It is a true CAD dispatching system where it's
Okay.
much more efficient than the system we had. The old system we had to write reports on basically everything we went to. So now it is a CAD dispatching system. So dispatch
Oh.
will be able to keep track of all their officers without them having to create a report for every single thing they do. It's much more efficient. It's nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
it's modeled after police department dispatching.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other questions on anything's operation related? All right. Let's move on to number 3. Rotation and addition of committee members. We're not rotating any out at this point, but we do have a addition, our new board president. Thank you for being part of our committee. We appreciate you. Appreciate all the work you do, and I appreciate all the work that all y'all do on the committee. It does not go unnoticed. We appreciate it. Next on the list is armed guard mandate. I want to talk briefly about armed guards. Now, what I do want to do is talk generally an overview of House Bill 3 and the armed guard program. I don't want to get down in the weeds of what we're doing, what we're expecting to do, or anything like that, and I don't want to compromise our program in any way. So, as you are aware, House Bill 3, among many other things, mandated an armed security officer in every one of our campuses. So that being said, we immediately put that ball in action, started getting it rolling, started coming up with a plan. We've come up with a very, very solid plan of GISD employees that will be armed. They are going above and beyond on everything training, alert training, active shooter training, stop the bleed training, nonviolent crisis intervention. What else am I missing? CRAZE training, civilian response to an active shooter event training. They're getting much more training above and beyond what the state mandate says. So while the state mandate is here, we are pushing our training to the max on each one of these employees. We are currently accepting applications. The post opened last Friday, and so we anticipate being able to start interviews very shortly. Is there any other just generalized questions on the way we're aiming and what we're trying to do and the reason why?
Yeah, for the training, is that going to be in-house or using the Texas School Safety Center?
We'll be doing both. So they will already have a license to carry. They have a mandated DPS curriculum that is taught by a company that we will contract with, and then above and beyond, some classes we will teach in-house, and some we will have police departments assist with their teaching, like alert training and active shooter training, and it's kind of going to be a mix of both. Any other questions on armed officers?
So I know on our social media page we said now hiring, right? And so we said armed security officers, House Bill 3. I know we have a number of qualified applicants.
Yes, we do.
And we're looking forward to filling those spots. From the public, they don't know all the training and everything else that's going into all of this. What is going to be, it doesn't have to be discussed now, but what we need to understand is what is going to be the rollout plan of something new for the community to understand the type of person and training and standards that are going to be held for our security team. Although we're looking at officers, they're technically security team. I think it's important to mention that we're looking to fill only the cities of Rowlett and Garland, because Saxe has an SRO at every Saxe campus, correct?
Correct.
So it's important that we talk about that, and Saxe is our only police department to do that. So we have 4 or 5 schools in the Saxe area. They're all going to be filled by SROs. Rowlett is short officers, and so we're going to have to fill that void, and Garland short officers, we're going to have to fill that void, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir. We do have Sergeant Merriman here. Would you like to say just a couple of words about Saxe and Saxe SROs?
Yeah, so we've already implemented filling the Sewell Elementary with an SRO. One of our high school SROs who has experience moved over there. And she's already ready to go. She's met the staff, and so we have filled every school in our city that's GISD.
That's awesome. Thank
We're
you.
looking forward to it.
Congratulations. Thank you. We're real excited about that. So I think communicating to the staff, and I know this is going to be a big lift, but I think it needs to be a personalized communication, introducing that person to that community. If I'm just Officer X, that type of introduction will give people peace of mind, and then they'll feel a personal connection to that. I don't think it needs to be just a generic blast out, like this is the program, and then they just see somebody there. It'll be like, hey, meet so-and-so. This is your personal officer assigned to blah, 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 blah.
I agree. They will engage with those schools and become an integral part of that school.
Yeah. And we got to remember, in Garland, we're family, so we got to really keep that family atmosphere. So when that rollout plans, just let us know.
We will do it.
I had a question from some of the public. We are going to have some type of uniform that they will be wearing. Have we decided on that?
Yes, sir, that is correct. They will have a uniform. It will not be a traditional police uniform like what you see down at the end of the table. It will be more 511 pants, for lack of a better term. They're cargo type pants.
Like,
Polo.
they're like, these are BDUs.
Yeah.
But they will also be significantly different, visibly different enough from this. So the 3 police chiefs have asked for us to show a picture of what this officer looks like. The police chiefs, when we met with them back in May, we were talking about how the outfit, the uniform would look completely different you would know in an instant that this is an unarmed security officer, this is an armed security officer, and they want pictures of what that looks like. So they're going to share that with their entire police forces, so they'll know.
And I think the word you use is they're all going to be armed, right?
Yes,
I think
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And they will interact with training with the police officers too, the SROs. So there will be joint training exercises too with all our people in theirs.
I know in Garland, I think in Rowlett, there are supervisors who work with our SROs. Will those supervisors have any role with the armed security officers that we hire?
They will not have a role in as far as supervision. They will have a role as far as interaction with them. So we will have a rotational basis between our elementary school SROs and our elementary armed officers. So they will interact frequently, but they will not be directly supervised by the police officers or the police supervisors.
Okay, you just brought up a question. So right now, let's take in either Garland or Rowlett, we have floater officers
Yes, sir.
who are going 3, 4, or 5 schools. They now, those floaters will be assigned to a specific campus, or they will, is that how it's going to work?
We will still have floaters. Now, what we wanted to keep was that relationship between the schools and their SRO. So we will have a rotation between the SROs and the armed security officers. So those armed officers, as well as the elementary school SROs, will be rotating from campus to campus just to maintain that relationship.
Okay, so if I understand what you're saying, so if I was in an SRO, let's say in Rowlett, and I had 3 or 4 schools, I will still be at all of those schools on a different day of the week? Is that?
That's the rotation plan we're looking at.
And our SROs in the MOU, they have duties outside of arresting, et cetera. It's education, so we still need those floaters to go and do those education pieces at all times. Also, the armed security officers will not have law enforcement capacity. They're there for one reason only, and they are not going to be allowed to arrest somebody. So they're still going to call 911, and we're going to want that floater to show up as fast as they can if it's an arrest for drugs or weapons or what have you.
What it sounds like it allows you to do too is if I'm pulling an SRO off a campus to handle another campus, we could switch the security guard so there's always armed presence to protect our children.
We have a lot of flexibility
Yeah.
in how we can move these people around. Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask a question. We've done an excellent job. We have been proactive. I think we have thought out things very thoroughly. And my question is the communities, are the cities, are the Tri-Cities ready to embrace this change? You all see the communities at a different level than I do. So this is a major change.
It is.
It's a major change. So how are you all feeling about the understanding and the acceptance of our communities in the Tri-Cities for this new approach?
I can tell you that I've been approached many times by people in all 3 cities, and they're thrilled that this is coming down the pipe. They're thrilled that we're taking that next step, and we're leading the way to put these officers in these schools. We're picking solid people to do it, and the plan is that we're rolling out is solid, and people are excited. I've seen many people that are excited about it.
And if I may, Mark,
Yes.
being SRP trainer for our department and going out and making contact with the principals and the staff, our elementary campuses are excited. Though they have a SRO that was rotating to service them throughout the week, to know that they just have a presence there at all times to be engaging, to watch them as they out in recess, or if they coming back from lunch, or if they have an event going on, parents are coming in and out the building. And I think that is a great thing that is happening for our district, because our elementary campuses, though we have you guys in the Tri-City, it's going to be a beautiful thing knowing that there's somebody there every day.
All right. Any other questions on armed officer program? Okay, I'll move on really quickly to special education emergency preparedness. We've started the ball rolling with special education as far as kind of reaching out and partnering with them as far as emergency operations and what they feel like we need to improve on and what we can plan on. So we talked basically about three things. We talked about developing a team, we talked about making checklists, and we talked about action plans. So developing a team. Team should evaluate your school's safety plan and create a basic plan for all students with disabilities. It's a good idea to include key personnel who regularly support and know the students, such as teachers, paraeducators, occupational or physical therapists, etc. So we're talking about developing teams that assist with all students, including special ed students. We talked about checklists. Consider developing an individual checklist that teachers and administrators could use to determine the supports needed for a student in an emergency. The checklist should consider both the general characters of the student, but also as questions such as, can the student be part of a large crowd during an evacuation, process information when directions must be followed quickly, move through a classroom or hallway independently, process the visual or auditory output from alarm systems, sirens, or people shouting, maintain a lockdown position for an extended period of time without medical and/or medical devices. And then we talked about action plans. Just some of the things we brainstormed on action plans was analyzing the overall state, district, and school crisis and disaster plans. Use the student's IEP, schedule, and school layout to evaluate what might happen in an emergency. Review the school layout and note any barriers to the student's access. Brainstorm solutions to barriers. Create an individualized emergency lockdown plan and help students learn, understand, and practice the specific skills they will need to develop and stay safe. So those are kind of the topics we discussed. Like I said, we were just touching the surface of this. We have much more to do, but it's kind of a good starting point that we're at. Is there any questions or anything I can maybe expound on that?
Yeah, I've got a couple. And this team, is that going to be a campus level team, or is it going to be district level?
I think it would probably start at the district level and then push down to the campuses if and when we got to that point.
Okay, and are you including any parents?
We would, yes, definitely we would include parents in that.
Okay, and where are you getting those parents?
We haven't got that far yet. Thanks.
And then on these checklists, this is intended to be an individual, like on a per student basis?
That's what we've discussed, yes.
Okay, and then would this become part of then their overall IEP or 504 plan?
It would not be in their IEP. The crisis intervention plans and the emergency operation plans, we have a district one required by law. We have campus for every single campus, not required by law. And on those campus EOPs, there are already things called unique factors. And most great principals for years have put in their unique factors. I've got that kid on the third floor, and the noise is going to be a problem, during the lockdown evacuation. Or do we have a striker chair exactly where that kid is at all times so you can get them down the stairs if need be?
But do you have the right key at the staircase?
Exactly. So those unique factors and those EOPs, this is an extension of that. This is making it more official and making it more a part of our responsibility as the safety committee and the safety security department. I didn't want anybody to walk away thinking this is the first time that we've considered special education in our safety plan.
Okay, and then how are the parents going to be, of the students, going to be notified that this plan's in place for their students?
I will get with special ed and try to push that out. I'm not sure how we will notify people yet. We've just, this preparedness plan is something we just put together, so I'll try to find out how they want to push that out.
Okay, thank you.
Which one? Any other questions on preparedness? All right, well, I think that wraps up. Seeing that there are no other items to discuss in executive session, I think I'll turn, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Could we talk about topics for our next meeting? I don't know where to do that, but
Sure, we can do that. We can do that right now.
we did it once before, but could we talk about threat assessment and how that's working? I think that's critically important. And I think it's so important for the public to understand that we're not waiting for an event. We're trying to anticipate events and stop them from happening. That'll be one. And two, obviously, we went to the voters in May with the bond election that was successful. We promised certain things. We know there's, we have different words for the film we're using, different descriptions. That's one thing. I don't know if anybody has the same terms they use for the film, where that's at, when that's going to be installed. Two, other things that we're including in the bond, like fencing and things like that. We'll talk about the bond and all the safety features that were in the bond and what process we're at in getting those all installed and working on. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? All right. We have no other items to discuss, so I would like to invite Dr. Lopez if he would like to provide any closing comments. The floor is yours.
So first of all, I want to thank the public and those that are interested in our safety and security, our teachers taking time in the first week of school before kids get here. I know your preparation is huge. We have parents that they need to get their kids ready too. School is right upon us. And I'm going to compliment this team. When House Bill 3 was barely being formulated, Mark Quinn, Shelley Garrett, and their entire team of just got together and started brainstorming, and they came up with a brilliant plan on how to address the needs of House Bill 3, right? And they did it in a very pragmatic way that is now catching on across the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I know a number of school districts have reached out to this district for guidance. So you're going to see a lot of people almost copy and paste what we're doing. Once again, we don't mind. Imitation is the best form of flattery, right? And so they've done it to us in the past, and maybe some school districts will get more praise because they'll tout their own horns. We're just about the work. We're just about making kids safe. We're just about helping other people out. And if all of those factors help out the whole community, hey, we're good with it. But you all have done an outstanding job, both of you. And the second thing I want to say is I want to thank, we got two of our veteran board members here, Linda Griffin and Larry Glick. And before this was mandated by law, I was invited by the governor to be on his security task force in 2018, and we went up there and we met with the governor, and he had a lot of initiatives and plans that were formulating at that time. But everything now that has been formulated from there to this point, most of those things were answered in the 2014 bond. That was the visioning of security, from the vestibules to the sensors on doors to many other things that we can't really talk about out here. The board of trustees in 2014, and both of these to the left and right of me, were on that dais, making decisions in betterment of the district, and there's foresight. So safety and security is always on our mind. It is paramount in Garland, USA. But everybody will tell you, no matter how hard your systems and sophisticated your systems are, the number one way to stop a crisis is through a nosy neighbor, okay? The person that says, wait, there's something not right here, and they're going to pick up the phone. The number one person that stops a crisis is a snooping parent. Go through their backpacks. You have every right. You bought that stuff. It's yours, not theirs. Go through their cell phone. We have to go back, and then people will be like, well, that's intrusive. No, it's not. You need to know what's going on with your child. And the thing is when we start taking back those actions as a society, all of us will be much safer, because somebody will ring the bell, and we have a lot of people that will answer the call. So as we're going closing, I pray that our district stays safe, and that our kids stay safe, and our teachers stay safe. So I think we're off to a good start, and I thank you for everything you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Lopez. We've now completed the scheduled order of business, and there's no further business for this assembly to consider at this time. I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.